an undisclosed location high in the Hollywood Hills. It's time once again for the long shot. Come hell or high water. Tonight's episode, everybody's trying to take you for everything you've got. And now, please welcome the host of the long shot, Sean Conroy. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good noon, good day, good dawn, good dusk, good desk. Welcome to The Long Shot. I am your host. My name is Sean Conroy. With me today on the podcast, Amber Kenny is here.
Oh, hi.
And of course, not here this week, Joe Wagner. Not sure what happened there. And Jamie Flam ends his streak at 2 in a row.
Well, he jumped in late when we were mid-conversation last time, so anything's possible.
Very rude.
But
that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. He could just show up at some point.
He's like the Kramer of the podcast at this point.
He's always been Kramer. Yeah. You know, that was a real guy, right? Like that was based on a real guy who lived in Seinfeld's building. And I saw that guy once at a restaurant in New York. I was at a restaurant in New York, an Italian restaurant called Carmine's, a great, like, family style restaurant where they, you order the food and they bring you these gigantic platters of whatever you ordered. So we were all at Carmine's. I don't even remember who I was with because I was there. This is when I spent a lot of time at restaurants in New York. Anyway,
yeah, I mean, not a cheap city. So
it was a different life. So we see him across the restaurant. He's kind of walking towards us, and somebody was like, "That's the guy." I forget his name. Cosmo Kramer was the real guy. I feel like his real name was Kramer, but I don't remember his first name. But anyway,
he was in one of those, like, towards the finale of Seinfeld. They did like featurettes, and he was in. So I could picture him, but I don't remember his name.
So he comes walking towards us across the restaurant. I think he was just sitting at a table nearby, walking across. And all of a sudden, of course, everybody is just like, holy shit, that's fucking Kramer. As he's walking towards us, he just out of nowhere, like his heel slips out from under him and he stomps his foot, and then he just keeps walking like nothing happened. Yeah, exactly. It was, and it was definitely not on purpose. Like it would just happened. Like it wasn't, he did not know that we were watching him. He just, that was his physicality. It was bizarre and, kind of cool in a way. Or not cool. I don't know. I'll leave it to other people to judge.
Notable. Interesting.
Fascinating. An unusual circumstance. Oh.
There's your pizza.
There's my pizza. I'll be right back.
Okay. Should I pause it? I'm going to pause it.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
I'll be all right. And we're back. I just had food delivered, and it took just long enough that I won't be able to eat it until after it's cold and the podcast is over. So that works out.
We could just do a quick podcast.
Perfectly.
I mean, we have agency here.
We got an agent?
There's no time slot we have to fill. It's what I'm saying.
Somebody's representing us?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. We could do a very quick podcast. So let's start with checking in. Let's go first to Amber.
Yeah. I feel really boring always talking about this, and eventually I won't. But Smudgy Update 2021. We got him back. We got him back on Tuesday.
Welcome home, Smudgy.
Welcome home, Smudgy. Absolutely. It's strange. It's not exactly the like.
He looks different. He's 50 pounds heavier and he's brown.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. It's actually quite the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
He's a bag of bones. He's lost quite a bit of weight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was trying to imply that it was just a completely different dog.
Right. I understood what you were implying.
Okay.
But I guess they said he didn't eat for like the first 5 days.
Wow.
Which is kind of a long time.
Yeah.
And
was it a hunger strike?
Yeah. I like their whole thing is you don't eat unless you're doing what you're supposed to.
Oh, I see.
And he maybe wasn't.
Yeah.
But I think he's already gaining back weight. But honestly, that first day, I'd be like, oh, like come cuddle, and it was like jarring. You could feel his ribs, and like it was kind of freaky. But they said that it's normal and that he'll gain it back pretty quickly.
Right.
And yeah, we had like a mini lesson with the trainer. I kind of thought it would be longer and more intense. Because we came home both like, I don't know if we really know what we're doing still.
Right. Did they tell you anything? Like, were they like, this is what you need to do from here on in, and this is what he likes, and this is, he now wears skinny jeans because, you know, he can fit. Do it. Yeah. He shops at Banana Republic, not the Gap.
They gave us a lot of like literature of best practices on incorporating your dog back into life after that training. And it's pretty strict. Like we have to be pretty strict with him. And I think that may be why it isn't the like joyful homecoming reunion that I had pictured, because he has to like, he either is in a crate or he's training with us or he's with us because we asked him to be specifically. Like he's not just like trotting around playing.
Right.
For the first 30 days, it's pretty strict, but I guess it's so we can really monitor his behaviors and make sure that we're reinforcing good ones and putting a stop to the bad ones. But one thing that made us feel good/bad is this.
What a great feeling that is. Always. I love, it's like, you know, best of both worlds.
Oh yeah. That yin yang baby. So this is an intense training place. Like they have like fans. I found out about it because one of the other dog trainers that I was
no
with,
AC, just fans.
Correct. One of the dog trainers that we worked with before was like fangirled out over.
Oh, I remember you saying this seemed like this is where she wanted to end up, or you know, whatever. You know, it's like a dream of dreams. It's like the epitome of training places. It's the Harvard of dog training places.
Yes, and they specialize in, you know, like.
So all the other dogs are going to hate your dog now because
right. Well,
went there.
They were going to anyway. Right. Let's be honest. That's his vibe.
But he's going to know he's better than them.
Right. And they specialize in like difficult cases and difficult dogs and, you know, getting them back on track.
Right.
And they said that Smudgy is probably the most extreme case of leash aversion that they've ever seen.
Wow.
So it was like, okay, we're not fucking crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know, like, that is the perfect example of good news, bad news, because it's like, yes, we weren't making this up, but also he has serious problems.
That like, he's not like, well, now he's a happy-go-lucky dog and everything's fine. Like, in fact, because everyone's like, great, like, is he so easy on and off a leash now?
What a great question that is.
I'm like,
is he so easy now? Now that you took him to the Harvard of dog places, you must be living the dream.
Well, I'm worried because you said that I was passive aggressive in my message to them about like, hey, when can we pick them up? And I'm like, did I fuck this up? Like,
I'm just making conversation. Don't take
I know you're never
serious.
listening. I know that, but it did get in my head, especially because I was like, maybe he wasn't ready. Like, did we pressure them into
push them too much,
releasing him? Because It's okay if he's not ready, just tell us. But so their recommendation, we took him home with the leash on, and their recommendation was just to leave it on indefinitely.
Even when he's just hanging out in his crate or whatever. So
Correct.
It's just like a normal thing.
Correct.
So and it's not like, here we go, Smudgy, we're going to put your leash on now. It's just like, it's like when I used to wear a tie all the time to work. That's the one thing I would never take off. I would just,
right, because you didn't have time.
So I had one tie. Yeah, I'd have one tie, and I would just be, even if I was in the shower or whatever, I just had that one tie on all the time.
Right.
So after a while, you don't even notice it anymore.
Right. It's just a part of your body. Mm-hmm. And I think eventually we will work towards taking it on and off. But he recommended us practicing putting on and off a second leash, like never taking off this first one, just as like a safety protocol.
And look, if you can get 7 or 8 leashes on him, I'm not saying yes, but I'm not saying no.
Well, I was laughing because I was picturing him with just hundreds of leashes on, like a parade behind him. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's an adjustment, and again, he's a bag of bones. He's definitely less reactive to city sounds. Like our life before was just him barking all day long. No matter what. And he's not really doing that, but he's also doesn't have the opportunity to because he's in a crate or he's with us working. And
but he could still bark in the crate if he wanted to.
Yeah, and he's tried it a couple times, and it's like, like he also knows.
What do you want? You want a smaller crate? You want 4 more leashes?
But yeah, it's very strange. I was trying to express it to my mom. I have mixed feelings because the training did what we wanted it to do for the most part. I mean, like, he's not cured, he's not perfect, but it
must be so easy now, though.
No, but he's like less reactive, and he is on a leash, and like, so we can take him out to pee after dark because it's not like he's running around and we can't grab him. Like,
right.
There's a lot of things that are a lot less stressful, and we have control over him in some way that we didn't before. But on some level, it feels a little sad. Like, it's like he was a wild stallion and we broke his spirit.
Is broken. Yes.
Yeah. And again, I think that's what we wanted to do, but I'm struggling with it a little bit. I'm trying not to get.
I get it. But I also think like it's still a marathon, not a sprint. You know what I mean?
He has not been home. He's been home like 2 days total. So I think, and he's a little guy. He's young. He was there for almost 3 weeks. He was probably just settling into like, okay, this is where I live now. This is my life. And then we uprooted him from that again. So like, he's just acclimating to all of these.
He's like, oh, I'm back with these idiots. What are they going to put me into next? Like, what is it going to be? An obstacle course? Like, who knows?
Right. Please, dear God, feed me. I am so hungry.
Right.
So yeah, it's interesting. And we're trying to figure out what life looks like now. Like, the big thing that this training place said, and I'm scared that everything I'm saying makes it sound like we're just torturing our dog, which I don't think we are. I hope we're not. But the big thing that this training place says is just live your life and like fit the dog into that instead of having your lifestyle revolve around the dog. And I will say, pre this training, that is the life we were living in a extreme. Everything revolved around him. Yeah. Right. Yeah. The plans we made, the meals we ate, everything. So it's an adjustment. And like the first morning we had him back, I woke up and I took him out so that he can pee, and we walked around a little bit, and then I put him right in the crate and I did my morning pages and I meditated and did yoga. So he was in there for like 2 hours, and then Jeff woke up and got him. And I felt strange about that, but I think that's what you're supposed to do. But then today I was like mixing it up, and I was like, oh, let's cuddle a little bit in the morning on the couch. And wouldn't you know it, he wasn't as well behaved today. Like, I think we need to do that crate thing right away.
Yeah.
And we we still cuddle with him, but like in structured times or like in the evening or I don't know. But that's what I mean. Like we're figuring it out. And like with all dog people I found, they're like, couldn't be easier. You just do this. And we're like, great. And then we come home and Jeff and I both kind of look at each other and like, but how do we do that? Or like, what does that mean?
What's our version of that? Yeah.
And because he's not supposed to be running around. Oh, that was the other thing. So the owner of the training place was like, honestly, text me anytime, day or night, any questions, like videos of what you're doing with him. I'd rather correct it right away than 3 months down the line when it's like a real big problem embedded. But I thought it was lip service, truly. Like, okay, sure, I'll text you. Like you don't want us to text you.
Yeah, right. Sure. Like I'm going to text you, owner man.
But I will say the day we took Smudgy home, it was probably 3 or 4 hours later. And I got a text. We both got a text from him saying like, how's Smudgy doing? What's up? And so we told him and we've asked some questions. So I was like, I'm going to take him up on it. We've spent a lot of money there. I'm going to ask questions. So the one thing is like, he needs to get a lot of exercise, but he's not allowed to go on real walks yet because there's too many outside distractions. Like he's only supposed to do short working sessions on the leash.
Treadmill.
Well, that's what I asked. I was like, how do we get him this exercise? And they said, get him a doggy treadmill. And I was like, we're not like, I don't have a treadmill. Like we're not, this dog is turning into such a money pit.
Yeah.
You know what I like?
Jesus Christ.
But it's also funny to be like, just do your regular lifestyle. It's not built around him. Do build him a gym. Like, like it feels contradictory to me.
Look, just get him a doggy treadmill. Who doesn't have a doggy treadmill? You got a doggy treadmill.
But so for now we're just trying to do like chase the toy and we're running inside the house. And but yeah, and they all said, you know, Smudgy's a crowd favorite among the trainers here. Like we love Smudgy. I was like, oh, that's so nice. That's great to hear. Like that warms my heart. And he's like, yeah, we love fucked up dogs. I was like, okay. Good news, bad
Yeah,
news.
he is such a challenge. Everybody loves to be challenged.
So yeah, that's where we're at. That's the reality.
I get that though, because like when I was teaching junior high school, the most difficult kids were the ones that I connected with because they were the ones that I worked the hardest to connect with.
Totally.
And that was just probably fucked up for the kids who weren't as fucked up.
Right, they're like, I'm doing a good job. Can I get some attention?
Right.
Like me? Like an Amber?
Yeah. Whatever. Get out of here, you mope. You're boring.
Well, and this is just a theory. I can't back it up, but
is this about ivermectin?
Yes. So when we went there for the training, he had us go to this like training yard, for lack of a better word. It was like walled, but it was big. I'm not using my words in a very poetic, beautiful way.
It was an outdoor area.
And it was
with
like
walls around it.
Yeah, like it was like a yard, but it was. There was probably multiple of those yards on their campus.
Like a prison yard.
Yeah. But
it was just, it was outdoors and it was open, but there were walls around it. And at the top of the walls, there was guards with rifles.
Yes.
And if the dogs act up, you take them down.
Yeah. But so he was like, Smudgy's not here yet. You go in and take a seat. So Jeff and I went and sat on this bench. It looked like an amphitheater because there were 2 rows of dogs. I want to say 15, 20 dogs in sort of a semicircle facing us. So it truly looked like we were doing a play for a bunch of dogs. And they each had their own place. And I think they were all leashed to their place but some maybe weren't. But they all were big dogs, most of them German Shepherds. And and as we walked up, they all started barking, all 20 of them. And he was like, "Shut up, stop." And
that sounds fucking scary, by the way.
It was scary for me. And I was like, I can't believe Smudgy's gonna hang out here. Like, Smudgy is this big. Like,
right.
Do
you know why we have called you in front of the tribunal here, Smudgy?
Right. So, but that is my theory of also why they like him so much is all of the dogs sort of, I mean, they have their unique dog qualities.
They seem the same.
They're all very similar. They're all kind of this bigger German Shepherd or yeah, mostly German Shepherds. And so like to see this little tiny, like filled with attitude, like, little guy, they're like,
he stands out. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I get it. You're like,
but yeah, we were walking.
This is a project.
We were walking him on a leash in that area, like with those 20 German Shepherds. So I was impressed. He was doing well.
I hope you're having a good time, Smudgy. Just wait until shower time.
And he needs a shower, man. He came home smelling like, wow, you've been at a dog place. Like he's just this stinky bag of bones. But we're too scared to give him a bath now because we don't even know how to put a leash on him. We're like, we should them to bathe him.
You should just put a bathtub on him and leave it on him all the time. And then put another bathtub on him.
It's gonna be like this one-man band just carrying everything on him. But yeah, and everything when we were there, and obviously because there were multiple trainers there helping us out, was like, yeah, this is easy, just do this. And then we got home and both of us were like, I feel like I wish we had a longer class. Yeah. I bet they did that on purpose because they want us to come back to do more classes. But
everything's a fucking setup, man. That's how the world works. Everybody's trying to take you for everything you got.
But I think it was good. The thing is, they have a program for like fucked up dogs. That's not what it's called, but it's like a 12-week.
We call it messed up dogs, but it's really for fucked up dogs.
But it's a 12-week, like, intense program. And then the dog would come back and be trained not just with the problem area, but also all obedience. Smudgy didn't do that track. We were just focused on the leash. Right. So some of the literature they gave us kind of doesn't apply. It's like, make sure he's healing at your side at all times. It's like, well, he doesn't know how to do that.
If your dog is smoking 4 packs a day, that needs to be addressed.
But I know we were supposed to be doing a shorter episode because you need to eat pizza. Honestly, you could.
I don't know why that has to come out on the show. Like, that's not anybody's business but ours.
We already talked about it.
Well, then let's cut it out and let's cut this part out too. Okay.
You're mad because you're hungry. I
need to eat pizza.
You're just like Smudgy. I'm used to angry, hungry creatures around me. But so Jeff and I went for a walk this weekend before we had Smudgy back, and the building that we moved into, it's a fourplex. There's 2 of us on the ground floor and then 2 on the second floor. And
so 4 altogether.
Correct.
But plexed. Yeah.
And the people who live next to us on the ground floor, at one point, it's like, I think they got a cat. And Jeff would say, our neighbor is outside holding a cat. And I was like, what are you talking? That's crazy. What do you mean? Anyway,
that sounds like a typing practice sentence. Our neighbor is outside holding a cat.
Or like learning Spanish. So Jeff and I went for a walk in our neighborhood. We were really trying to embrace and enjoy and take advantage of every moment we had dogless, crazy dogless.
This is before Smudgy came back.
Yes, this was this past weekend. And our neighbor was outside. It was dark out. P.S. It was dark outside. And our neighbor was outside at the fence holding a cat. And we were like, oh, hi. We've never really talked beyond hello. It's a strange time to move into a building because we're in a pandemic. So, like, part of me thinks I might know my neighbors better if it weren't mid-global pandemic. But I don't.
Do you know that I am your neighbor? Do you know that I am holding a cat?
Well, so we said like, oh, hi, cute cat. And it turned into, we were probably talking to her for 20, 25 minutes about the cat, about Smudgy, about her life. And it was wonderful. I was obsessed with it because it was like it was talking to like a real Los Angeles person, not the entertainment business, not in comedy at all, not one of my friends. Like
I work very hard. I have a job in cat holding. I hold cats. And so when I come home, I practice with my own cat, who I hold here by the fence. Do you know that I am your neighbor and I am holding a cat? This is a cat I am holding.
Well, and everything she said was so insane and parallel to us. And we would be like, whoa, us too. And she seemed unfazed and just kept talking. But
I cannot get this cat to wear a leash. That is why I am holding it.
She said that. She said those words. The cat was exactly the same age as Smudgy. She got the cat the same exact time we got Smudgy. She was been working on getting him on a leash, but he won't go on a leash. I'm like, well, he's a cat. That's like, we're in like a little bit of a different thing. She's like, I worry about him. He seems filled with anxiety. And we're like, yeah. And
I'm like, please, Smeary, don't be so upset all the time.
And she said, this is the first pet I've ever had my whole life. And I was like, this is Jeff's first pet his whole life. Like, this is crazy. I don't know. I find that very crazy. And so this evening, right before this podcast, we were like, let's take Smudgy out on a leash because now we can do that. And we went out the back.
Hello, I am in the backyard holding a cat by the fence.
Well, we were in the back and we looked down the driveway and she was in the front holding the cat. And we both were like, hey!
You guys have your dog. I have my cat.
And yeah, I kept saying, I don't know if she internalized it at all, but it's like, is it something about this building? Are like animals just fucked up? Or are we not supposed to have?
I live on the third floor and I carry this goldfish around. He's been dead for 11 days, but I still carry him around because he wouldn't put a leash around his neck. And then I stopped feeding him. And then
the whole time we were talking to this lady, the cat, they were up against the fence. We were on opposite sides. Like we were on the sidewalk and you get it. She was within the fence. The cat was like wrapping its arms. I know cats don't have arms, but
the top legs
around the fence. Like, I don't want to go back inside. It was really cute. I don't think she knows how to take care of a cat, and I don't think anything she's doing is correct. But guess what I've learned? None of my business. I'm not going to be giving advice out.
Hey, look, it's a goldfish. How was I supposed to find its neck? I didn't even know where to put the leash. You try to find the neck on a goldfish.
And the first day we were back, we were just sitting outside on the bench because we could. There's a little bench right in front of our apartment. And we watched multiple of our neighbors come home and Smudgy just sat there and didn't bark. And I was so proud of him. And one of the neighbors out loud said, oh, good, he's back.
I love passive aggressive neighbor shit. It always makes me laugh. Like I remember, this isn't the same thing at all, but I remember once my neighbor was walking by me in the garage, and I had just gotten my car washed, and after a long time, and she was walking by, and she was like, "Oh, you got your car washed," and it's like, "Fuck you," you know, like none of your business.
Totally. But in this case, I also get it.
Yeah, it could drive you crazy if you hear the dog barking all the time.
Like, most of my anxiety around Smudgy, or a large percentage, I guess that's the same as most of, was just like, I don't want the neighbors to murder you or us. Or like, it'd be one thing if we were doing this crazy madness out in the middle of nowhere, but it affects other people. Like, I need you to get your shit together.
Totally. My neighbors downstairs have a dog, and his name is like Nestor or Philippe or something like that. And
love when people list two unlike things and then say something like that.
Anyway, whatever. It's like Rodrigo or Paul. Something like that. So it never stopped barking for like 2 years, you know, like anytime anybody. And so they have a big, like, you know, the French doors that go out onto my balcony. They have the same thing.
Those are French doors?
I believe they're either French or Belgian.
I just call them sliding doors.
No. They're whatever the case. I call them sliding doors. So, do you know the sliding doors? Anyway, they have the same thing downstairs, but it goes right out onto the walkway that goes by their apartment. So anytime anybody walks by, the dog smashes against the sliding doors
and has a baguette
and loses his fucking mind, you know? And I know that's a problem for them because they're worried that I'm upset that the dog. So they're always like shouting at the dog and trying to get the dog to come back inside. And, you know, it's this whole. So I get where you're coming from. In fact, the other day I was walking by and the dog, whatever his name is, Bonnie Prince Charlie or Captain McDougal. Yeah, something like that. Just like came out because they have a big shade over the window, and the dog kind of poked up under the shade and then just stood there looking at me. And I was like, wow, looks like Nestor's got his shit together for the first time in 2 years. You know,
Nestor, good job, buddy.
So, but it's taken that long, you know, and sometimes that's just how long it takes.
Right. Yeah.
So I do, whenever I see those neighbors, I do go, oh boy, the people with the dog. There's actually lots of people with the dog in this building. So
yeah.
But fuck those people, you know.
Sure.
In your building, I mean.
No, they're great.
Except for the guy with the dead goldfish. I feel bad for him. Because he should not be carrying that thing around. That's like unhealthy. You know?
I'm not expressing it clearly enough because there was like strange neighbor dynamics. So again, it's a building of 4.
Mm-hmm. Plex. It's a plex, right?
The people who live directly above us, I don't know 2 of them. One of them is Manuel, who does who takes care of all the plants, the garden out front, and who I've known since before we moved there because he's such just like a fixture in the neighborhood. Right. I would go for walks from my old apartment, and we would like chit chat.
And he's plexed right above you.
He's plexed right above me. But he has these are all just, again, guesses based on context clues, but I'm guessing a wife and a daughter that I don't know just from apologizing to them because Smudgy has jumped on them once, you know?
Right.
But he has told me like multiple times, he's like, I love your dog. Your dog's great. He's just young. That's why he's acting like this. And I was like,
Right.
it's not just that he's young. He's got like real problems.
But that's definitely part of it, though.
Right.
I mean, that is a big part of it.
Yeah, he'll chill out. But he was like, I love your dog, but your neighbor who lives next to you on the first floor
wants to murder him.
No, he's like, watch out for him. I used to have a dog. He passed away. And I was like, so sorry. And he's like, no. He lived a long time. But he would always make comments. He hated that my dog was walking around. He hated it. And I was like, okay. So then I had in my head that the neighbors next to us hate my dog, like already. And I was scared of that.
Right.
And, creating stories.
And the guy walks around with a crossbow and a giant burlap sack. And it's like, what is he looking for?
Sure. And then, but every time I saw that guy, I was like, hello. And he'd go, beautiful dog. And I was like, okay.
I bet its head would look great on my wall.
But point is, like, I feel like I'm in some weird, fucked up head game with the neighbors where I think the guy above me might not like the dog, but decided to pin those feelings on the downstairs neighbor.
I see.
Or like,
so if anything happens to the dog, you know who it was. Like if the dog disappears, you know where to look.
Because that guy has been nothing but sweet. That guy did a couple times just like see Smudgy out in the yard, not on a leash, and then open the gate, and then Smudgy ran into the street. And it was like, thanks, man.
Oh no, I accidentally opened the gate into the busy street.
Right.
What the hell was I thinking?
And Jeff didn't hide how he felt. So I was like, but we have to live next to these people. Like, it's a dance. But anyway, all of that said, I think that's why it was so thrilling when our next door neighbor, like the female next door neighbor, we had this like long friendly conversation because we haven't had a real conversation, and in my head I was like, they hate us, they hate Smudgy, like we have like this weird animosity, we're on not speaking terms, we're in a silent fight. And the fact that we just like were happy to see each other and then chit-chatted for a really long time, it was just like, oh, it was a delight, for lack of a better word.
Right. Now the guy's like, hey, listen, Amber, I saw you talking to the lady holding the cat by the fence. Just so you know, I'm going to be out by the fence holding my guinea pig later tonight. If you want to, I don't know, if you want to chit chat or get to know each other a bit or have like a conversation of a sort, whatever type of a thing you want to talk about, I'll be holding my guinea pig.
Well, and all eyes are watching at all times because Manuel, the guy upstairs, he's like, hey, I noticed a big dog was over at your house because my parents brought over Cinco. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, yeah, that was my parents and their dog. They were just here for the day. And he's like, so how did Smudgy react? And I was like, well, he's not here. And like, so we got into all of that. But I was just like, oh,
the other neighbor, he was so angry when that dog came over.
Right,
He was just watching TV. He was watching a baseball game and he heard the big dog and he was like, what the fuck is that noise? And he got up and it ruined the baseball game for him. He couldn't watch any more of the thing.
But it's just funny that everyone's clocking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Cinco was here for one day. I don't know. But like people noticed. I just think it's interesting.
I wonder, I mean, that's always the case when you have neighbors, but I'm also fascinated by that because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on with people around me.
Well, and not only that, sometimes I do know what the fuck's going on because I fancy myself a detective. I like Columbo and I like Sherlock Holmes, but I wouldn't
Nancy Drew.
Exactly. Encyclopedia Brown, etc., etc.
Hercule Poirot, the little gray cells.
But even if I notice something, I don't know if I would ever broach it directly to their face. I would just like make note and to myself and keep on moving.
Right. You wouldn't use that knowledge against them.
No. Well, and it's almost weird to tell me because it's like I'm watching everyone who comes in and out of your apartment. It's like, okay. I don't know. We're not doing
You
anything.
better be on your best behavior, because if you got shit going on in there, I'm going to know about it. Just FYI, which stands for
Uh-oh.
I'm going to say for twice, and it's going to sound weird, but it stands for your information.
Yeah.
And I said that right, even though it sounded weird. I know I said two of the same word in a row, but that's okay. Sometimes you do that. That's the way the language works.
It's okay. Yeah, it's in fact, just right now I got paranoid because I'm like, the window's open. Like, are they? Because
really
we're
funny.
the young bucks we're at our late 30s at this point, and we're like the young kids in the building.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are some people, I mean, I don't know that this is true in the building I'm living in now, but I've definitely lived in places where there are people who just have nothing to do but clock what's going on in other people's apartments or whatever. I remember I lived in a building in New York for a while up on West End Avenue. And it was like, there were 4 apartments on the floor. So you come off the elevator and there's like a door to your left, 2 to your front, and 1 to your right or whatever. Mm-hmm. And there was a guy that lived on the floor who I think he just hated any noise of any kind. It infuriated him. So opening and closing the door was very upsetting to him.
He shouldn't be living in New York City.
And I remember coming out of the apartment, like we came out of the apartment, we're kind of laughing, joking with each other or whatever. And the woman I was living with at the time, like grabbed my arm and kind of points. And you know, those little peepholes, there's just an eye staring through the peephole. And you know that this guy was behind that door going, these motherfuckers, you know? So I stuck my finger through the peephole and blinded him.
Perfect.
Yeah. He couldn't catch me because he was a Cyclops. Worked out great. Also, I had told him my name was no one. So when he tried to report me to the police, they were like, who did this? And he was like, no one.
Perfect. It's a perfect crime.
Yeah, worked out great.
So that's my checking in. I talked for a very long time.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Well, some of that was you getting a pizza.
The pizza's calling my name. Well, I'll just keep it quick. I twice this week went out to stand-up shows to see Eddie perform.
Whoa.
And, yeah, it was.
Where?
One was in Hollywood. I don't remember the name of it, but it's like it's right by King. I don't know if you know King, but it's a music club, and they somehow have set up a parking lot there. So it's outdoors, but there's tables and there's a stage in the round, and you know, it felt very safe to be there because it was outside. And it was, you know, it was fun. It was interesting. It was funny to be back seeing stand-up and to remember just how like mediocre and beautiful stand-up can be. Like
mediocre and beautiful.
Yeah, because you know, I don't know. It was a weird, having been away from it for so long after having been immersed in it for so long. I was just like, there were moments where, I mean, some of the comics were good. Some of them were not good. Some of them should have been better because I know them and they weren't good, whatever.
We're all rusty.
Yeah. But it was also like the insignificance of some of the stuff people were talking about was hilarious to me, you know,
when we're like actively fighting for our rights.
Yeah. And
the climate change is happening and you're like,
and watching them, right. And watching them try to get the audience on board and not being able to do that because it was like,
what? Yeah.
It was just such a disconnect, you know? So that was kind of funny. And then last night, and I'm going to spoil a little bit of Eddie's material because it was a thing that he did both nights. And seeing it last night was really, really funny for me. So last night I went to the Comedy Store. He was performing at the Comedy Store, and that was kind of crazy to me because it was inside and it was packed, like both rooms. And he said that was not even close to what it usually is like, but still to me, it felt like it was packed. No masks. Nobody had masks on. He said that everybody had been supposedly vaccinated or tested, but I just don't know how that was enforced or how that was, because nobody asked me ever if I was tested or vaccinated.
Then definitely.
I just walked in with him, and you figure there's 30 or 40 comics walking in every night. So anyway, but it was just an interesting place to be. I had never spent time at the Comedy Store, like when I moved to LA, that was the first place I went. Literally the first place I went, because I was
that story kind of recently.
Right. I was subletting my apartment from somebody who worked there. Yeah, it was about Pauly Shore. Seeing Pauly Shore that first day, and him going, "Who the fuck are you and what are you doing here?"
Right.
And being I'm in LA now.
But you didn't see Charlie Chaplin perform your first day in LA.
Oh, right.
That was the comparison.
Yes. But I went to the Comedy Store, and I think I had the idea in my head that I deserved to be performing at clubs the way I had been in New York, and didn't realize that LA was all about breaking your spirit before letting you back in.
It's like smudgy.
Yeah. So I thought, like, I talked to this guy who was the booker at the time, and I was like, I just did Conan not too long ago. I mean, it was a few years before that, but I was like, I've been on TV. I've done several TV appearances. I'd love to audition for you and see what you think of my set.
You weren't saying like, I would like to headline tomorrow. You were saying I'd like to audition.
That's all I said was, I'd love for you to watch me perform and see if I'm good enough to perform here, which I was, quite frankly. Still am, have never done it. And he said, sure, absolutely. Just what you should do is come by our open mic on Monday night and do a set at the open mic, and I'll probably hear about it. And, eventually if you do some sets like that, I can, we'll see. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. And so I went. And the way they do the open mic at the Comedy Store is everybody shows up. I mean, it's, everybody wants to be on the open mic.
One of those ones you have to show up at like 3:00 in the afternoon or something.
And you put your name in a bucket, and they pick names out of the bucket.
Do anything with your life except this open mic.
So I did that. And like, there were homeless people performing on the open mic. I mean, I just remember like a guy bringing his shopping cart on stage with him and talking about how much he loved fisting women. Like that was his whole act.
It's funny.
Well, you can't deny good material, It's like Steve Martin said, be so good they can't deny you. And this guy clearly understood that. So I was like, this is fucked up. And he also had like a taser that he kept on flicking on and off while we were outside. And I was like, this not only feels weird, unsafe. It feels uncomfortably unsafe. Correct. Like a mentally ill person flashing a taser around on the porch of the Comedy Store before the open mic starts. Like, what is going on? So I went up, did a bunch of jokes that I knew were good jokes, got no response, like literally nothing in the room.
Well, because it was just other mentally ill.
But also there was like a table full of comics in the back who were all like Comedy Store comics, and who I feel like I could be making this up, but I feel like a couple of them like made disparaging remarks during the set, whatever. And I was like, what is going on right now? And I came off stage, and one of the comics like followed me down the hall as I was leaving the club and was like, hey, don't worry about it, man. Like you were fine. You were great. It was great. It's just like, there's a process here, And so I was like
hazing.
I was like, fuck this place, fuck these people, fuck the whole thing. So I never went back there after that. And when I was there last night, I was like, even though I felt weird being in a room full of people and whatever, like this, the way the setup is there, I enjoyed it, Mm-hmm. Like they have a crowd that comes in and you can arrive anytime during the night and you pay your money and you stay as long as you want. And the show runs from like 8:00 till 2:00 in the morning. And it's just like the next person up brings up the person after them. There's no host in between the acts. Everybody does 15. There was just something about it. And I know they've been doing that for 40 years, but I had never been at a club like that.
So many shows are just like the host and then
and then the host comes up again and the host is like, so this guy, what's up with you, sir? Like, all right, you guys excited for your next act? And it's like
there's something pure about just like everyone just gets to do their act.
And I think part of it also was because, I was not there for that long last night, nor did I choose to stay in the room for that long after Eddie went on, but I did see a few people go up and it was two things. One was they were all really solid comics. It wasn't like, this is not a knock on the Improv because I love performing at the Improv, but a lot of the shows at the Improv are produced by people. So it's like, I'm the producer, so I'm going to have 3 great comics, but I'm also going to have my friend Steve, who's just trying it for the first time, and my friend Bunny, who's in from out of town, bringing her cousins and her extended family, who are all going to pay their cover charges. So it's not like
it's like one step away from a bringer show,
right? So it's not like everybody there is an established working comic who knows what they're doing. And I'm not saying, like, I saw a couple of people do fairly poorly last night, people whose names you would know if I said them. And that was the other thing that I thought was interesting about it was not in every case. I mean, some of them were just struggling because that happens sometimes. Others were like working shit out. And it was like, okay, this is what I do on a regular basis. And I'm allowed to do this because this is my relationship with the club. And I was saying to Eddie afterwards, like, I've always been in a position, any show I've ever done, where my mindset has been, I hope this goes okay, because if it doesn't, they might never have me back here. And I hope I want to, and it's like, it's cool to have people who are in a position where they're like, I'm
safe here.
I don't know what the hierarchy is, but it's like, I'm passed at the Comedy Store, so I'm going to be performing there 2 or 3 times a week in perpetuity, as long as I continue to want to do that, But anyway, I'll try to keep this as short as possible, and so far failing miserably. But Eddie did a bit where I forget exactly. I saw it twice. And the point I was going to make is that, because, like, one of the great things about Eddie is that he's so in the moment, but also what that means is he fucks up his own jokes half the time by like saying them in the wrong order.
Right. You like leave out a sentence and it makes no sense anymore. But people still laugh because he's so committed. But you're like, I know that makes no sense.
Well, but this was actually the exception to that, because the way the joke worked was he talked about, he's like, when I was a kid, my father, I was 6 or 7 years old. And my father said to me, did you go to school today? Did you go to school today? And I had a choice. I could tell him the truth and open up to him and have a good relationship with him and be able to have fulfilling, committed relationships the rest of my life. Or I could lie about it and say something that wasn't true and take a risk. And that's why I like rough sex. And like, that's the end of the whole thing. And gets a huge laugh. It's really funny. And I'm not even doing it justice because the setup is way better than that. But like, the end is, and that's why I love rough sex. And it just comes out of nowhere and it's absurd and it's really funny and whatever. So last night, he did that last week when I saw him, and it was great. And then last night we're at the Comedy Store and he's on stage and he's having a really funny set. He was He was good. And then he goes, I forget exactly how it was, but it was like, he's like, me and my wife. Yeah. Like something like this. He was like, me and my wife. Yeah. Look, I love rough sex. Okay. And it's because when I was a little kid, my father, he goes, when I was a little kid, I was 6 or 7, and my father, and the whole audience was like, ugh. And he was like, no. Like, but it was so hard to get them back after that because it sounded like he was about to talk about being molested.
Right.
And
well, and also it's only funny because it comes out of nowhere and it's jarring.
Exactly. And it was so I'm like crying, laughing in the back while the whole audience is just horrified. It was so funny. And then we were out in the parking lot afterwards, and I was like, I think you flipped that. And he's always like, oh right. Yeah. It was great, but it was fun. It was fun to see him and fun to
that's
just
cool.
be out. Although again, a little weird. You know.
Yeah.
Everybody was talking about Joe Rogan getting sick with COVID. You know. And it's so funny to hear people talk about him. Just like, no, he's not. He doesn't expect people to take him seriously. He's not saying anything.
Then,
yeah,
okay,
no, it's hilarious. Anyway, that's my parting shot.
Are we done?
I think so. My throat is fried. I did a bunch of I have a friend who's putting together a sizzle reel for a pilot that he's doing. It's an animated pilot. So I was doing some voices today.
Oh, fun.
And one of them was incredibly difficult. Like we just didn't have it. It's like an alien character and whatever. And so we were trying to find it, and it fucked me up. It fucked up my voice. So I don't have and what I forgot, and a lot of people don't realize this, doing weird characters as voiceovers is incredibly physically exhausting.
Yeah.
It wears me the fuck out. Just physically. So why don't we do parting shots? We don't even have to take a break tonight because I don't think we have a sponsor this week to have in the middle.
If we do, we could just shoehorn it in.
We can put it in the break when I go to get the pizza, like right
Perfect.
at the beginning.
Nice early break.
Mm-hmm. So why don't we do parting shots? Amber, why don't you go first? Parting shots to
Sure, yeah.
Amber.
I mentioned this last week that I didn't know how to proceed after going to that family reunion at my brother's house, and there were people there who weren't vaccinated, and like, what is the right thing to do? How do you live life? And I mean, I'm pretty much locked down here anyway. I don't do a whole lot. I mean, I see people every once in a while, but anyway, I haven't since. And I took your advice and I got a COVID test, and negative. Both Jeff and I don't have COVID, or at least didn't as of that one test, if it was done accurately. Because have you taken a lot of COVID tests?
No, I've done it like 4 times maybe or something like that.
This was only my second. Oh, the boys are going out. This was only my second test. And
watch out for the neighbor holding the cat.
I think it's because I've been so locked down. It's not like I'm against testing. I haven't put myself in a lot of situations where it feels like I could have exposed myself, and maybe that's
it's against the law, by the way.
Exposing myself, yeah. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely, I don't know.
You're being oblivious to the fact that it's
exactly
in your nose half the time.
Exactly, but so yeah, that family reunion happened, and then my parents went back to Mexico, and they both weren't feeling well. And that also was like, I don't know. There were just things that made me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing great now. Spoiler alert. They're fine. And they're as locked down as you could possibly be. They're in the middle of nowhere. But I'm not. So I was like, it feels like the responsible thing to do to find out if I am a carrier or blah, 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 blah. And so we signed up for
Typhoid Amber.
We signed up to get a COVID test, and the only place that had a same day appointment was a place in Eagle Rock. And so we're like, great, we'll go to Eagle Rock. We go to the address that's listed on the appointment, and it's just a park. It's a park in Eagle Rock. And that actually made me feel good.
Could you see the Eagle Rock, which is in a park in Eagle Rock?
I couldn't.
So it's not a great park.
Right. Well, it actually made me feel good that it was outside, because the one thing for the past year and a half that we've been doing this, longer than that, year and 9 months, but where it's like the right thing to do is to go get a test, but the idea of being around a lot of people who think they might have COVID,
it's a weird fucking thing.
It feels like putting yourself at the most risk. So the fact that it wasn't indoors made me feel good. But like slapdash is putting it mildly. It was just like a tent and like some people. And we had QR codes for our appointment. And so we like went to show them. And the lady's like, can you just read off the numbers? Like they didn't even have a QR code reader. And anyway, she found us. And then they handed us a plastic baggie with like a swabber, the directions, the vial that you put the swab in, like the whole kit and caboodle. But then she's like, just go over there. There wasn't a designated area, is what I'm saying. We just walked a little ways away, and it's a park. So like, it wasn't a very populated park, but in theory, there could have been people next to us that just
little help,
that were just enjoying.
I will return your frisbee if you will give me a little help with this nasal swab.
Right. It felt like we should be separated from the public more than we were.
Right.
And then also just like there wasn't a surface. They just said like go over there. Because I took one before and it was very organized, and it was like there were specific booths, and so you were definitely separated from the other people taking tests, and they kept it just well run, well organized, where there was only a certain amount of people around and you stayed a distance from everyone, and it all made sense. Anyway, this was not like that. So we just like found a spot kind of not near the other people doing it. And again, there wasn't a surface. So it's just like weird to open things and like stick a swab up my nose.
Yeah.
In a park. And it just felt like this is wrong, right? Like this can't be right. And then we put it back in the vial, we put it back in the baggie, we seal the baggie, and we walk back over to where we checked in.
Can you just deliver it to the lab down in Georgia?
We go back to where you check in, and there's a guy, there's a cooler. like you expect it to be filled with Capri Suns and like orange slices. There's a cooler, and he has it rigged up with a string, so he pulls it so he doesn't have to touch it, and you just drop your kit into this cooler, and then he closes it again, and that's it. And it was just like, don't have a lot of faith that I did it accurately, that like nothing about it screamed accurate medical procedure, you know? Right. And then the one other test I took before, they said results will come in 1 to 2 days. I got it in about 10 hours, like boom, boom, boom. And it was negative that time. This time said 1 to 2 days, but then had a no.
It will be positive this time.
No, due to the amount of people getting tested, there may be delays.
Mm-hmm.
Point is, it took, I think, 3 days.
What a crock of shit.
And Jeff and I got tested at the same time. His results came in like 3 hours after mine.
Mm-hmm.
They both were negative, but it was just bizarre. Like, we could be dead on a ventilator. Like, what was the point of this?
Right.
And Jeff made the really good point, which is probably obvious to everyone, but I'm still gonna say it, that it feels like they just gutted the testing infrastructure. You know, now that we have the vaccine and everything's okay, I'm sure all of the funding that was in place to make things organized and speedy is no longer there.
It's it's a wild time, man. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on or what to do or how to fix things. It's really frustrating.
Yeah. There's nobody in charge. There's no guys. There's no bosses.
I can't wait. I cannot wait until President DeSantis handles this shit in a couple of years, you know? Gets everything all ship shape. No, I mean, I had my two of my, well, I don't know how to say this in a way that makes sense, but two of my brother's kids, the day before they were supposed to go back to school, were diagnosed with COVID.
Holy shit.
Because they had been out in the neighborhood playing with neighborhood kids. And they got a call from the parents of the neighborhood kids that these kids were diagnosed with COVID. You should have your kids tested just to make sure. Which, you know, that happens. But the other part of that is the kids who they were playing with, who were diagnosed with COVID, who caused them to get tested, apparently had been complaining to their parents about not feeling well the day before. And the parents were like, it's probably just a cold.
Shut up, go play
with Get out there. Go out and play with the other kids.
God damn it.
And so, yeah, I mean, I give my brother and his wife credit because he said, like, everybody else in the neighborhood is furious at these people. And my brother's like, what are you going to do? It happens, you know?
Right.
But it's like, these people are, I think one of them is like a family doctor. And the other one is like another single doctor or something like that. Like, I don't know what, you know,
but
anyway, they're both, they're both doctors, and they were just like, whatever, you're fine. Get outside and play with the other kids.
I mean, isn't there a certain level of just like, this cannot be true, therefore it isn't true?
I guess probably just being in denial, but it just feels like we're in a place where
we got to be cautious, buddy.
Everything has to be taken seriously, you know?
So does that mean they couldn't start school when school started?
Yeah, no, they're quarantined. The two kids are both stuck in their rooms now. You know,
that's crazy.
And I haven't talked to him in a couple of days, so I don't know if there's like more symptoms. I know one of the kids was really not feeling well, so I just don't know what's going on. But it was literally the day before school was starting, you know, literally the day, 24 hours, literally.
Thank God.
You know how people say, like, literally, people say literally all the time, you know.
But thank goodness it wasn't the day after, because then it would have been like a whole school out.
Absolutely.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Always look on the bright side.
But, and also, as an addendum to my parting shot, there's a lot of crazy shit that happened politically that I'm not going to even touch on. But
what are you talking about?
Nothing. But I think that I had a lot.
Are you talking about how I'm going to move to Texas and get rich hunting bounties on women getting abortions and people helping them?
The new
a lot of money. You can make a lot of money down there, you know? Just keep track of who's going where with who. Surveillance state, you know? It's like East Germany. Anyway. And you can carry a gun if you want to. No
So you
permit.
could shoot them and then say, "Oh, I had to shoot them. They were going to get an abortion."
Where's my 10 grand? Where's my... Yeah,
Horrible,
it's
horrible.
it's a really difficult time. And then on top of everything else, I was here last night and for once did not have the fucking news on TV. And I got a tweet or message or whatever from somebody who listens to this show who was like,
turn on the news.
yeah, like I hope your family's doing okay, because I turned on the TV and New York was like, it was like Noah's Ark. Like
Crazy.
It was nuts. And then I go on Twitter and I'm like looking for New Rochelle, which is my hometown where a lot of my family still lives. And New Rochelle had a flash flood warning, a tornado warning, a severe storm warning, and some other warning all at the same time last night. So it was kind of crazy. So yeah, there's a lot going on politically, geographically, climactically,
emotionally,
spiritually, holistically. Mm-hmm. Okay, here's my parting shot. I went to lunch today. Well, I went to a party the other night.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, it was good talking to you.
See you later. No, I went to a party the other night, and it was across the street from a place that I was going to go for lunch today. Both of these places, because they are across the street from each other, are in a part of Los Angeles that you already mentioned called Eagle Rock.
Mm.
And I don't even know how to explain this. I really do not know how to explain this. I don't know how to explain this, but the person I was meeting for lunch today said, where, he was like, meet me for lunch. I was like, where are you staying? He's just in LA for a little while. He's like, I'm in Echo Park. And I was like, oh, I know the perfect place we can go. It's this place. Meanwhile, I was thinking of the place in Eagle Rock, not in Echo Park, which was what I was thinking the other night when I drove out to the place in Eagle Rock to this party. I thought I was in Echo Park for some reason.
Like,
I've only been in LA for 17 years and I did not know that Echo Park was not Eagle Rock for some reason. Like when somebody said Eagle Rock, when somebody said Echo Park, I heard Eagle Rock. And I was like, I knew they're not the same place, but anyway, when you drive from where I am to Eagle Rock,
it's far.
Yes, but there's literally a place where the road splits and it's like north is Glendale, south is Echo Park. So I had put the address into the phone on Saturday night and I was like, I'm on my way to Echo Park. South is Echo Park. And the navigator was like, go north, motherfucker. And I was like, that's weird because I'm going to Echo Park, but I'm supposed to go north and it says to go south towards Echo Park. Oh, well, I guess the part of Echo Park I'm going to is further up from where we are now. And then today, the exact same thing happened when I was going the same exact way to meet this guy. And the place I was
like, why are we having lunch here? It's so far.
No. That's the problem, is that the place we were going has several locations. One of them is in Echo Park and one is in Eagle Rock. So I get to the place in Eagle Rock thinking I'm in Echo Park.
God.
And he calls me right when I park my car and he goes, where are you right now? And I said, he goes, you're at the wrong one, aren't you? And I said, no, I'm in Echo Park. And he's like, yeah, you're not, because I am, and you're not here. And I was like, wait. And then I walk over and I'm like, oh my God, I conflated Eagle Rock. Anyway, it just made me feel.
What place was it?
Senor Fish.
Oh, yes. There is one in Eagle Rock and there is one in Echo Park. I was trying to think of what restaurant.
I like how you're demanding proof. Like,
Are you lying right
No,
now?
it wasn't about lying. It was more that I would spend the rest of the night trying to like.
What's the place that has places in both?
Yeah.
There's 3 of them, and one's in Echo Park, one's in Eagle Rock. I don't know where
And
the
one's
other one
like
is.
downtown, like one's
Yeah.
like.
Oh yeah, right. Exactly. You're right.
Like
It's
Little
downtown.
Tokyo.
Yes. Where they used to have an open mic.
Yes,
actually.
that's how. Yes.
But anyway, I couldn't believe it. Like I was like, what is wrong with me? That all of these things, like literally road signs staring me in the face going, where you are going is not where you think you are going. And the navigator in the car going, don't go where you think you're going, go where you want to go. And I was like, anyway, it blew my mind. And then the other thing that blew my mind was because I was running late to meet this guy for lunch, I got to Senior Fish in Eagle Rock, and I was like, I had a panic attack because I had left my house without a mask.
Holy shit.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm out without a mask. I can't go anywhere. I can't go in anywhere. Like it was so.
It's the new, like, having a dream of being naked in high school.
It was a crazy moment because I was like, why is this? It'll be fine. Like it'll be fine. But I did have a moment of like extreme, like to the degree that I didn't have a mask. I knew I was going to meet this guy in Echo Park. I didn't know what the situation was going to be. That one of the things I like about Senior Fish in Eagle Rock is that it's all outside. Like you can just sit outside.
It's not really the case in Echo Park.
I mean, we did sit outside ultimately, but it's a very different kind of situation.
It's just like on Sunset.
Yeah, you're right on the sidewalk. But to the degree that so I go to Senior Fish, we're talking on the phone back and forth, trying to figure out, am I in the wrong place? Which I am. Is he in the wrong place? Which he's not. Is he going to wait for me? Am I going to meet him there? Whatever. I'm still 20 minutes away. Can you wait that long? I have this other thing to do, whatever. I'm walking back to my car and I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't have a mask. And there's a mask on the fucking grass between the sidewalk and the street. Just a mask, just a discarded mask on the sidewalk. I mean, on the grass. And I was like, oh, maybe I should just, and I literally picked up the mask.
Oh God, no, absolutely not.
And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? What am I doing?
Like putting on someone's underwear.
It was so insane. It was like, yeah, it made me stand outside myself for a moment and go,
hey, buddy, you need
what is happening right now? You know? So anyway, I'm wearing it right now as underwear. But I guess my parting shot is I finally know the difference between Echo Park and Eagle Rock, which I knew before, but somehow I think it's because I have been over there many times to that specific spot. And in my head, I was always like, oh, this is Echo Park. And there was never any reason to say it out loud or to discuss it or whatever. So I just made that Echo Park in my head without actually thinking about the fact that I was driving along Eagle Rock Boulevard to get to that place.
It's not the same at all, but I do the same with Barstow and Bakersfield.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're very interchangeable in my head, even though they're not anywhere near each other. And I know that I've like told people, oh yeah, that's in Bakersfield when it's not, it's in Barstow. Like that. Yeah. Because it starts with a B and it's like in the country.
Crazy.
All of our brains are mush.
I really feel that way. I really do feel that way.
I keep at work. Granted, I'm very busy and I need to give myself a pass.
Mm-hmm.
But I swear that I like craft an email that I'm like, that was really good. You spent a lot of time like making it sound professional. I hit send and then you just like reread it and I'm like, everything is spelled wrong. Like, what is wrong with me? I don't understand.
I had an email today that I was going to send.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. I had an email today that I was going to send to somebody and I needed to include one piece of information, one important, that's all the email was about, was this one important piece of information.
And you said everything but that?
Well, I sent the email and then like 20 minutes later, I was like, did I even include the fucking reason why I sent the email? And I went back and looked at it, and I had, in fact, but I couldn't remember if I had or not, you know?
Ugh.
I was like, I don't think I put the thing in there that I sent the email for. I did, but I didn't remember that I had. Anyway, things are going well.
Yeah, we're all great.
Folks, this has been The Long Shot. It is a podcast mostly about dogs and people who don't know how to live in this world.
Same thing. Enjoy your pizza.
Thank you. I'm very excited for I actually do like cold pizza, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's great.
And we'll see you guys next time on The Long Shot.
Bye-bye.
So I will walk this evening to the cellar, and I will try my best to stay afloat. And I will be standing till 3 in the morning with a mouthful of terrible jokes. And you will criticize my awful timing, but I will still insist upon my skill. And I will be late for work in the morning. I'm just taking the time that you killed. And it isn't as if things have gotten better, though it isn't as if I am getting worse. And it isn't as if I took the apple from your eye and I bit it just to quench my own thirst. And it isn't as if people think I'm funny. Oh, but what is being funny even for? Well, my lines have made me forget what you gave me when I was starting out in New York. And it isn't as if I am getting work.